Hey, and welcome to the Humble Pursuit Podcast. I am Bill, and I'm joined in studio, aka at the farm, with co-hosts Tyler and Thomas. Good day, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good to be here.
It is good to be here, and we're joined in studio with our guest, Anderson Dugazon.
There you go. There you go. You got it.
Is that right? Dugazon?
You got it. You
That was better.
Say it one more time.
Man, you can say it.
Say it one more time.
Dugazon.
Dugazon. Dugazon. Okay,
I like
I'm getting
the first
there.
way.
It sounds better when he says it.
I'm getting
Go
there.
on.
So this is episode number 12. Thank you for tuning in. It's actually episode 11, take 2, because we interviewed Anderson in the never seen footage that didn't make it to the internet because our audio track sucked.
Was it the audio or was it
nice
me?
way to say it?
No, it was somebody else who did the engineering. We're not going to say who it was.
It's not important.
It's not important. We don't want to point fingers.
It's a good thing people are listening and not watching this. They can't see the fingers being pointed.
We're moving on.
Moving on.
Yeah.
Moving on. You know, some of the key points when we started this whole podcast was to share our journey and talk about the strengths in community, brotherhood, manning up, embracing the suck of life and fatherhood, mixed with some healthy back and forth jousting, which basically means that Thomas and I make fun of Tyler on the regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
And Tyler's okay with that. Crickets out here at the farm. There was nothing.
There you go.
So, Anderson, welcome back.
Thank you, Bill.
And I think the first time we had you here, we did the warm-up questions where we asked you stupid stuff like, if you had a boat, what would you name it?
Oh man, why did I answer the last time?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you
It was
again.
a good answer.
I
I
think the last time I said if I had a boat, I would have named it Hermit, I believe.
Hermit?
Hermit, which is, I believe, the name of my mom, if I remember.
Yep. That's
Okay.
right.
Was that
That's
his
right.
answer?
It was.
Yeah,
It was.
Good memory.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite Disney princess?
I believe I chose the last time Moana because of her sense of adventure. Doesn't see what's going on, but was
Just go for it. Just hold it up to the mic. Open your pop.
is that a sound in shush Anderson?
It's a Dr.
No.
Pepper commercial.
Yeah. So I believe I chose Moana because I said it could have been Pocahontas, but Moana was my favorite. I believe because of her sense of adventure, due to the fact that not only young, but she was able to conquer the fear of everybody else to find out what's going on to save her community. So,
Okay. Well, we'll skip past that.
Let's skip those.
We'll skip those. Thomas, how long have you known Anderson?
Well, you started at the bank in 2012.
12. Yeah.
So going on 9 years. And I don't think we knew each other before that. I think the first time we met was at the interview.
Yep.
Yep.
Actually, the first time we met when I came to meet you when I heard about the job.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And to meet you in your office after that, and then the interview. Yeah.
Yep.
Did the size of Thomas intimidate you when you had your interview?
Do you see this body?
No, okay.
I'm just asking.
Nothing intimidates Anderson.
Nothing intimidates Anderson? Okay. I was just wondering. I mean, okay. Tyler, how long have you known Anderson?
Well, just a couple weeks since we had our first interview. So, yeah, we're newly acquainted.
I think we set the bar pretty high to at least, we will definitely exceed the quality audio and visual wise. But that first one was pretty awesome.
Well, I'm glad I can help with that. Okay.
You need to be extra entertaining today.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like Tyler and myself, I met Anderson 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, or something like that. Our friend requested you on Facebook, and I noticed you haven't replied or responded yet.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about me on Facebook.
Okay.
I don't get on it.
Okay.
My wife even come after me and say, hey, I sent you a tag of the kids' picture. I say, oh, okay, you can log into it and accept it. I don't get on Facebook. I barely get on Facebook.
Okay. Well, next time you do get on Facebook, there's a friend request from a very important person.
Well, I promise you I will at some point.
And then
I cannot
somewhere
tell you when.
underneath that is the friend request from me. So go ahead.
I cannot tell you when because I don't get on
Go
Facebook
ahead and
anymore.
accept that. All right. Do you get on Twitter? Do you tweet?
I don't tweet.
No social media.
I do only Snapchat.
Snapchat.
Yeah.
You seem like a
Snapchat.
TikTok guy to me, Anderson.
TikTok. Oh, you know, man. If you see my TikTok video, man, I'll be like a billionaire right now with all the likes. But I don't have an account, so we good.
Okay. Well, why don't you give us a quick snapshot of where you're from, where you grew up,
Okay.
and we'll just ask questions from there.
For everybody's listening, my name is Anderson Dugazon.
Dugazon.
And Bill really almost get it right. So, so about myself, I am from Haiti. Haiti is a small country in the Western Hemisphere, and which is, if you don't know what Haiti is, and thank goodness there's a map right in front of me from you guys. Haiti, if you know where Cuba is and Miami, so if you look down in Miami, you'll see Cuba, and right behind Cuba will be Haiti and Dominican Republic, to which Haiti and Dominican Republic share the same island.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're from there.
I was born and raised in Haiti until I was in my mid-20s and moved to the United States
Now,
to pursue higher education.
you came up in a village, a city, or what?
Yeah, in Haiti, like every country, there's everything is departmentalized. We have capital cities and states, and in Haiti, since we are a French descended country, and I believe you guys call it in the United States state, and we call those our commune, which is department. And also, so I'm from in a north side of Haiti in a department called Artibonite, which is well known for rice, to grow rice. Like Kansas is known for growing wheat and some other crops, but my department was mainly focused on rice growing.
And then, how big was this area that you grew up in, and population wise?
Not this. The area I live is not big when it's size wise, and the same as population. I mean, population might be maybe between 300 to 500 people in that little community, but not really big. But if you look at the whole department itself, yeah, it's bigger. It might be like maybe in the thousands of people living in that whole big department, like the state. Which will be compared as a state in the United States. But the little community, which is Dauphine, it's not that big. And a great fact about where I grew up, right in not too far away from where I live, it's where the ocean and the river meet together.
Oh wow!
Yeah. So if you want to see magic, it's just where the water and the I will call it sweet water and the salt water merge. We call that ambushi, but. Yeah.
So then, are you fluent in French?
Yes, French is my.
So can you say Bill is good looking in French?
Doesn't translate.
I don't know. Good looking is translated, but the name Bills, I don't know who that is.
You can just say Bill. I think that's French.
I would say Billy.
So you grew up, and we've talked before. So you grew up kind of more of in a rural area.
Yeah.
So I guess you kind of came more from an agriculture background. You guys had livestock. You guys farmed. You did some fishing, and you and I have had discussions too about the differences between the way your kids are going to grow up versus the way that you grew up. Over here. So that's something that you wanted to show your kids. You eventually want to take them back, and I've always thought it was interesting the contrast between where you and your wife are now with your kids. And how you grew up and how you got from here to there.
Yeah.
So, tell the story about how you got over here. When you were playing soccer.
Yeah.
Tell that story. I love that story.
Yeah. So from a young man from Haiti to the middle of Kansas, the middle of the United States of America, Solana, Kansas. For those of you that don't know that. First of all, I grew up in that small town, like Thomas said, to where in that community where we live, it's like we live in a community to where we live next to each other and we share what we cultivate, and if we sell, and the fishermen and stuff. But due to the location of where I live, I had to move out of there when I was ready for high school, because we didn't have in high school at a reputation high enough for me to go to high school there. So to where majority of us, if your parents can afford it, you have to leave that area and move to the city to where you can go to high school. So I moved from Dauphin, to where I grew up, and to Port-au-Prince, which is the capital of Haiti, which is where the mass population is living. I moved there with my sister, who was living there by then, and so the path of me ending in Solana, Kansas, was where in Haiti soccer is really big. Here you guys have baseball, American football, and I entered American football. And in Haiti we have football, which in the US you guys call soccer. So we in Haiti, as young men, we will play soccer and with anything that is round. As long as it's not hard enough to break our toe, we will kick it. So tennis ball could turn into a soccer ball. Anything like an orange, round enough, we will kick it as a soccer ball. That one breaks, we're gonna put another one and kick it and play ball. And so as young in Haiti, we always go play soccer on the street wherever we can. That is flat enough for us to play ball, we will play ball. So we were playing soccer on the street of where I live, and then one of us kicked the ball in somebody's yard.
Now, when you say one of us, was it you that kicked the ball in?
No, I was not that coordinated. So,
And when you say yard, what do you mean by yard?
in Haiti, everybody, especially in the city of Port-au-Prince, to where it's the crime rate could be really fluctuate based on time. So people will have like high concrete fence that would be like 8 to 10 foot high, and high closed gate, metal gates and stuff. So that fence was really high. So we kicked the ball in there, and some of those houses, you may not see them well, but when you open the gates, like, oh my gosh, am I still in Haiti? But people, because of safety, they build those big fence around their houses. And so anyways, we got to that fence, and then at that time, I was the one that understood English better than most of the guys that I was playing with. So I was elected to go get the ball, because the reason why I was elected, because the person that was living in that house was an American lady that was a Methodist missionary that was doing mission work in Haiti and managing a guest house for the Methodist church. So we all knew that she was living there, and that's when I was elected to go get the ball. And I went and knocked at the gate, that 8 to 10 foot high gate, and the guardian, I believe that's what we would call it, the guardian came and said, "What do you want?" I said, "I would like to get the ball that we kick in there," and he closed the gate and said, "No." But at some point, the owner of the person that was living there, the American lady, and at some point was in the yard and asked the guardian what's going on, and he told her that there's a ball in there and we want to come in, and he said no, and she said no, let him come and get his ball. So opened the gate, I said hi to her in English, and then I went and get my ball and went back and play ball. All I needed was my ball, nothing beyond that. But don't look at the guardian weird for not letting me in. And as I mentioned earlier, safety is a big situation in Haiti, and there's sometimes in the year. So for him, letting anybody he doesn't know in the yard could cost him his job, So for him, not letting me in was a safe harbor for him. Mm-hmm. So, but the lady that was living there was nice enough to let me in and grab my ball, because she didn't see any threat of me, attacking her or anything. So anyways, I got the ball and I went on to play ball, and after the night we went home, and one of my friends one of my good friends that lived next to her and say, hey, you want to go to church with us on Sunday? So I said, sure. So, but I have my own church that I go to, but we like young men, we're visiting different church for the gospel, but also finding new girls,
You can meet somebody.
You can hit on the girls,
I have never went to church for a woman.
So I agreed to go to church with them on Sunday, and that church was a big I think the biggest Methodist church in Haiti, and that was the main church for Methodists in Port-au-Prince. And I went there, and then surprisingly, the house that they wouldn't let me in to get the ball, and that lady was gonna be my driver to church.
Oh, wow.
So she ended up driving us to church, and that's where she goes to church, and that's how we got acquainted. And at some point after church, we went out to eat. She went in the market, and she was buying some stuff, and I was there, and the person that was selling her stuff was taking advantage of her because she didn't speak the language well. And I will tell you, in Haiti, if you go to the public market to buy something, everything is negotiable. If somebody says something is $15, don't be afraid to offer $5. And especially if you're American and they know it, that price is going to be triple. So I saw that and I was like, that's not right. So that's when I intervened and negotiate the price for her. And since then, her and I become good friends. And she was like, okay, from now on, if I'm going to go to the market, you're my guy to go with. So I can translate for her because the people she was buying from, they don't speak English. So I was able to translate for her, and that's how we became friends. However, the friendship was not stopped there. After she left Haiti to come to the United States, and she was, you know what, I would like for you to come and visit my country, visit where I'm from. So I said, it's every young Haitian dream to come to the US, And I said, I would love that. And I was in high school and almost done with high school. So I went to the embassy to get a visa to come visit, and they denied me the visa. I was not wealthy enough in Haiti and so on. But she didn't stop there. She was like, well, what's your goal in the future for that? Those are conversations we had during our time together. And so she went on, applied at different school for me to come and study here. So on that point, I got accepted at Kansas State University, go Wildcat. And in a KU fan, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry too.
Wifey, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, because she's a KU fan.
So you married a smart person.
Oh.
Can you say that again?
I said you married a smart person.
Well, I know my wife is smart, not because of KU though.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyways, I got accepted at K-State to come here and study English as a second language. And when she called me and told me that, I called my dad and I said, "Hey, Dad, I need some money to get my passport done." And my dad was living in the U.S. by then. And he sent me the money. I got my passport done and get my tickets and went to the embassy. And compared to the last time when I went, they were asking me like a zillion of questions. This time, there was not as many questions as I had when I got accepted at K-State. I do remember when the officer asked me the questions like, "Who do you know in Kansas?" And I said, "This is who I know." And he says, "What are you going to do in Kansas?" I said, "I'm going to school." And I said, "Well, enjoy your time in Kansas." And that was it. And there was no other question, what do I have in Haiti and all of this and so on. So that's how I ended up in Solana, Kansas. First of all, I ended up in Manhattan, Kansas. And I went to school there in Solana, Kansas. And that's how after my career going to school from Kansas State, Kansas Western, and Fort Hays State University. And as you can mention, I didn't say KU for a reason. I didn't want to go there. And so I ended up meeting Thomas at the bank. So that's how I ended up in Solana, Kansas.
Okay, so you came to Solana, and when did you meet your wife?
Oh, gosh. My daughter is going to be 4. So I met my wife about 6 years ago at the YMCA working out. And it was by mistake.
Well, it is. Looks like a mistake.
No, by mistake.
Oh, by mistake.
Yeah. By mistake.
Okay, so how did you meet her by mistake?
So a friend of mine that we used to work at Dillard's when we had a Dillard's here in town. And we were talking. Say, "Oh, my sister goes to the YMCA and work out." I said, "Oh, really? I would like to meet her." So. And he described her to me, and I went to the Y, and I see that young, beautiful, good-looking young lady on the treadmill. And I approached her and I said, "Hey, are you so and so?" He said, "No." But her smile captivated me, so I didn't stop there. So we started talking, and believe it or not, our first date was KU K-State game in Manhattan, Kansas, and K-State beat KU.
Well, of course they did.
But that doesn't take much.
Yeah, so that was our first date. That's how we met, and then from there, that was our first date. And then she just asked her out again. She went on a second date with me. I said, yeah, "That's a keeper." So, and magic happened, Did the Haitian magic, and I'm here.
So now and then you guys eventually had children.
Yes, we have 3 children.
3 children, and their ages are.
The oldest one is prior to our marriage. He's 16. She had him before that, and then I have a 3 years old, soon to be 4 on Friday.
Nice.
And then I have a 9 months old son. Yeah.
Nice. And now your biological family, your mom, dad, sisters, brothers, where are they all at?
Well, my mom passed when I was 6 years old, so I didn't get the chance to know her very well. But for what I can hear from different people in my community, in my family, she was a great woman. And if she was alive, I wouldn't know you guys because she would have spoiled me so much to where I would have been alive or dead because I am the only son she had.
The only son.
Among 3 girls. So I was the king of whatever I wanted. That's what I was told. Whatever I wanted, my mom will get it for me. If I ask for the world, she will give me the world. So it's unfortunate I didn't get to know her. And on my dad's side, everybody in my family is living in Orlando, Florida, except me living in Kansas, and my youngest brother who lives in Haiti. So,
okay. And how often do you go? When was the last time you went back? How often do you go back to Haiti?
The last time I went back to Haiti was right after the earthquake we have. I believe it was 2010, the big earthquake that shook the country and destroyed in which I lost one of my niece, which I never found the body.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but that's the last time I went to Haiti.
I
was there right after before that, and I went there to renew my visa
because you got trapped.
Yeah, I got trapped to which Thomas almost bought a sailboat to come get me.
I thought I was going to have to call the congressman to go get Anderson back out of Haiti because he tells everybody at the bank, I'm going to go back and go back home and get my visa renewed and go visit Haiti. I said, that sounds great. Well, I'll be gone for a week. Okay, great. So he leaves and he doesn't come back. And another day and he doesn't come back. I can't call him. I can't get a hold of him. And I'm like, now he's trapped in Haiti and maybe he's never coming back. So, well, you couldn't get your visa renewed. I didn't have any way to contact anybody about that process. But basically you were just waiting in line in Port-au-Prince because they wouldn't let you back into the United States. Yes,
pretty much. Without a visa, I was not allowed to come back to the U.S. So I had to get my visa renewed to be able to come back. And the issue I encountered was I went to the embassy, get everything taken care of, and it seems like my signature was not captured on the pad. So the way it's worked is you go to the embassy, get the interview over like I did for the first time, and then they get your signature and everything, and you have to wait a couple days and to go pick up the visa at a different location. And when I went to pick up my visa, and they say, hey, your passport is not there. And that's when I was like, well, I just got back from the embassy a few days ago. My passport should be there with the visa. And they're gonna say, we never received it. So that's when I called the embassy, and they told me, yes, there was a problem with your signature, and you need to come back. And I said, how come nobody ever contacted me? Nobody contacted me, nobody emailed me. All my information's all there at the embassy. And so I went back in, and we did my signature, and then within a few days, I was able to pick up my passport. But I think it was a reckless moment at that time, and which almost gave Thomas a heart attack. So
So that it kind of takes me back where we started, and last time we talked too, but back to when you were growing up, and we've talked about that, kind of the rural area you grew up in. But just talk a little bit about how you guys lived. You know, we tend to get a little bit isolated, I think, over here. But just kind of talk about where your houses were, you know, and how you guys made that community work.
Yeah, I mean, where I grew up in Haiti, like I said before, I grew up in a farming area to where pretty much everybody in the area is a farmer. except a few guys that choose to fish and do some different stuff, but they still farm. Fishing will be something on the side that they do to provide. And that area is from the day that I was born and until I come to the U.S., farming is what paid for my education, my livelihood, everything I ever done. My dad raised farm, and we had a rice farm. We had a few head of cattle, a few head of horses and donkeys and stuff like that. And so the community that we live is when my father harvests the rice, or whoever in that area harvests the rice, we sell it among us, or we walk or drive miles to go sell it at a city market to where people would buy it in bigger quantity from you instead of trying to sell it, by ounces and stuff. So the community that I live, as I told Thomas in a conversation that we had, is we live in a community to where, let's say, we take the farm here, about 2 acres of land, and so it will be like the family. My dad ended up marrying one of the girls in that family. So my dad would be leaving his parents' house and move to that area where his girlfriend, which is wife now, live close to her parents and stuff. So we live in a community to where if my mom, my stepmom at that time cook, so we share a plate with everybody in that circle where we live. So if there's an uncle that doesn't live in that circle, sometimes we will take food to that uncle. So the likelihood of us going hungry so much in one day was minimal. That doesn't mean we don't go hungry, because one plate may not feed everybody. But we know there will be a plate of food coming to our community. Compared to my life here and my kids, to where we are in the U.S., is we work, we get the money, but if there's a time to where we don't have that money and start to go groceries, then our neighbors doesn't know we are hungry. But where I grew up as a young man, was if somebody's going hungry, like the likelihood is your aunt or uncles and cousins will know that, because if there's no food on the table, then at some point somebody will bring a plate for you. So the sense of community of where we live was really big for us. This is where the same yard we go and at night listen to story tales from grandma and grandpa and stuff like that, stargazing and stuff on the bonfire. Some things that we take for right now, I will be honest with you, that I take for granted here. Living here was something we pretty much do on a regular basis back home. So the sense of community of where we live is, if the fisherman go fishing and he bring a load of fish, he will sell it in the area and we'll buy it. That's how we get our fish from. And let's say Bill is the guy that's bought a head of cow and butcher it. We will buy that meat from Bill. We don't have to go to the supermarket to get that. If Bill doesn't do it, then we'll go to the supermarket and get it from somebody else. But usually we buy it close to us first before we go outside of our comfort zone to buy it somewhere else. So this is how I grew up in Haiti. I mean, the sense of community was really big for us.
Now was all the farming done by hand, or was there?
Unfortunately, yes. It was a lot of physical labor. We don't have all of this kind of the mechanical industry we have here today. So
and that's here in America. That's one of the things. I mean, with the automobile and the mobile society, we've gotten so far away from sitting around a campfire with our grandparents and uncles and aunts. We're scattered to the wind, and we can go wherever we want. And that's not necessarily a good thing. I like the community that you describe a lot better.
Thank you.
And that being said, like we said too, it's not like you grew up easy. I mean, it's not like doing everything with your hands. I mean, you didn't have electricity in your house at some point, so it's not like it was just this. Everything's easy either, but what I love about it is how you could lean into each other, and that's. I mean, I think that's something that we have tried to establish with some people, and try to develop that sense of community. But for us, to me, it feels like work. It feels like we have to put energy and attention, into getting that type of community where people know if you're struggling or they know what's going on. Whereas it seems to me like that's just kind of what what you guys knew. I mean, that was
Oh, yeah.
just you woke up and that was your life every day.
Yeah, you woke up. It's pretty much that you come out of your bedroom and not their bedroom. I didn't have a bedroom, pretty much. I'll be honest with you. I slept on the floor with a piece of carpet or something made in the area that we can lay down on the floor, and when we get up, take it off and roll it and put it on the side of the house, because our house was like a 2-bedroom house, and one of it was a bedroom and the living room, which is the dining room and everything. So at night we moved the table on the side, somebody slept there. So or if my aunt's house has another extra space, I go sleep at my aunt's for the night. My parents know where I sleep, so nobody really worried about it. So I mean, it's the sense of community. Was there some were there some other stuff that was not really right? Yes, like Thomas said, it wasn't like happily ever after.
Right.
Life was not happily ever after. We had struggle. We have security problem. We have to where people destroy each other in the same community.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I live in that community of helping each other was also, the presence was really high. And there also.
Yeah, I mean, community by its nature is messy.
Yeah.
Half of the tools that Thomas owns are probably sitting in Tyler's yard somewhere, maybe or maybe not, missing a part or two or something like that. Things walk away, things happen, but we've been really trying over the last many years to get more community, get guys into community. That seems to be a hard one. And you mentioned food insecurity. Where that next meal is going to come from. That's huge. That's huge. I talk to a lot of people, and I can get them to say they're struggling. And my first question after they say that they're struggling, or they can't pay this bill, or they can't pay that bill, what do you have in your kitchen right now? What's in your refrigerator? Yeah. And I will be more than happy to buy you groceries, give you groceries, open up my freezer, clean it out. But getting someone to be that vulnerable, it's like it's anti-community. It's somebody that doesn't know how to say that.
I think it's a sense of pride. We pride ourselves too much on stuff that could be you can easily get help with, is what I'm saying. So it doesn't. And am I like this now? Yes. I live in a community to where sometimes my neighbor could be starving right now. I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So it just.
Tyler, you've been really quiet.
No, I was just thinking. You said the word intentional. Like, we got to be pretty intentional to build that community that we're talking about. It seemed like in your experience, it was hard to grow the rice. You had to do all this by hand, but the community came natural, right? Like,
yes.
It was just a byproduct of being that close and needing to lean on each other. Here, creating an income is somewhat easier. We have low unemployment, so creating enough income to pay for yourself is easy, but the community is harder.
Yeah.
Like, we've got to be as intentional in cultivating community as your community was in planting right and harvesting on time and doing all this stuff. The income, the jobs, the social programs, stuff like that, the generous people like Bill who will buy groceries for you, that might be there. But the reaching out when people are struggling, the being vulnerable part is not something that comes naturally for I think people who live in Salina, who live in the U.S. So we got to be pretty intentional to emphasize that, because, man, that's where people need it.
Well, and I think what we do is we go to work to earn money, to do things, to bring it home to our family. Honestly, I don't necessarily didn't start out in my career thinking, what can I do for those around me, with what I bring home. It was, okay, I even if I was single or when I got married, it was, okay, what am I going to do to take care of my wife? Or what am I going to, and we're just so focused on what we have and what we do, that a lot of times you feel like you have to try to think about your neighbors or think about your family or people that you may not quote unquote need, but you've got to think about how can I offer to them, and that's that intentional community that I think is something we just keep harping on, that we're trying to develop. And that's what I love about your story is where you've come from and where you are and all the things you've accomplished and what you've done. but you came out of that sense of community, and I think that's something that we can all learn a lot from.
So I came up with, I wrote two things down as you were speaking. Number one, do you still stay in contact with the lady that brought you over here?
Yeah, she lived like a few blocks away from me.
Nice.
We moved her into her house.
Yeah, we
Did you
moved
really?
her.
Did she have a piano?
How many times have you moved her?
You know who I've moved? Another person. You can chalk up another person I've moved now.
Yeah.
She has a piano, and that piano is sitting in my garage right now. Because
Thomas has moved me 11 times.
At least.
But the next time he moves me, I'm going to have him dig a hole across the road and
put the piano
and put me in it. That's about
There
it.
you go.
Yeah, I mean, Joanne Dimmitt, she's an angel without knowing it, to be honest with you. So, and I mean, it's not because of what she did for me being here, but I see it in her, what she does for other people. She's the person that you also can. She is. The more I get to know her, the more I was like, man, how did she ended up? What did she see in me? Because can be skeptical, like about everything. So we have a son and mom relationship, and I'm gonna refer to her as my mom. If I say that, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. She's the person that is so skeptical that will read the entire disclosure from online banking. She would print the entire disclosure page out, and that would be like 5-10 pages, and read every single one of them and ask me a question, why this? Since she knows I work for the bank, she banked with us, and she will ask me, why do I have to do this on this disclosure? I said, just sign the paper.
Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, she's an angel though, beside all of that. So yeah.
You know, and I can't help but to think as I hear your story and, you know, a chance encounter because of a soccer ball, a relationship that's just out of chance is formed to help her at the market, whatever put it on her heart to bring you over to the United States. None of that's chance. That's God by design.
Yeah.
You know, that God laid these things down in front of you by design, and you followed. And I was doing a sermon this weekend, and that was about, you know, worth. You said, you know, you didn't think you were. What made you worthy to come over? And God makes you worthy to come over. God makes you worthy. He's the one that pulled the strings on all
Absolutely.
That.
Well, and you look at, I mean, she obviously connected with you over there, and she trusted you.
Yeah.
And I felt the same when the first time we met and you came into the bank. You know, that was more of a professional relationship. I mean, it's not like we were getting together to hang out. You know, but you've got that ability. You just exude that trust. You know, to say you're somebody who you can trust. You know, and that's a God thing. You know, I mean, and living that way and I've seen that too, and I've been fortunate enough to have you in my life, and we've been through a lot together with the immigration papers and all the different struggles and things that we've been through.
Don't ask me the question, Bill, about that.
No,
okay?
I'm not even gonna.
I'm not an immigration attorney, but I've been through a lot of paperwork. But
yeah.
But anyway, you know, and I just think a lot of that comes from where you came from, and I thought it was cool when we were talking about this before, how you said, you know, you're proud of that, you know, that proud of where you came from, and you want to take your kids back and show them that, and you should be, and you've accomplished a lot. And so how do you think your 2 or your 3 kids, how do you think they would respond if you took them back to Haiti where you grew up? I mean, how do you think they would respond to that environment based on what they're used to?
You know what, I'm looking forward for that moment to see their reaction. I don't know. I don't know the answer how they're gonna respond, because they grew up in a different environment than I did. Mm-hmm. So see them live, see them working, you know, on the path that I walked before. So a young man that used to barely have a pair of shoes, and now have maybe 5 or 6 pairs, you know, and spares. And to them, a young man that used to work, use his dad t-shirt because it was big enough to turn into a t-shirt and pants, because you can just tie it under, you have a piece of clothes. Seeing my closet now to see what I have, and I'm afraid I set a path for them to where they may not be grateful for what they have, and my hope is for them when they go back and to see where I'm come from, is to understand that nothing comes easy. I hope that's the lesson they learn that if I make it here where I am right now and being able to provide to them what God put on my way to provide for them, and the obstacle they might encounter in their life is nothing.
That kind of piggyback onto the other thing that I had written down was if there's one lesson that you learned from your childhood that you are now passing on to them, what is that?
I mean, know where you come from, build based on what you know. Because, like I told Thomas, I'm proud of where I come from. I mean, I grew up poor, but at the same time, I was rich because I was surrounded with my family and community and my parents. And one of those persons is my dad. That guy is my hero. I was grateful and thankful that I have a dad that I have. I'm a man that's never went to school once in his life. All he knows is farming. But to make sure all of his kids has an education, for me, that's the best thing you can pay somebody in return. And my dad did it for me, for every single member of my family.
Wow. He must have had to work real hard to get you to go to school in Port-au-Prince.
Oh, yeah. It's just leaving us in the city with an older sibling and him staying back in the farm to make sure he can provide for us. And that's one thing I will never forget. And I'm grateful for my oldest brother, Chesner. He's the way I grew up is if my dad passed, my brother is the next in line to take care of us. And even my dad was alive, he was still doing it as a young man. And if at the same time, did I get disciplined by that guy? Yes. He's the guy that correct me when I deviate the path that our family wanted for us. So, yeah, as I would say, love is a big thing, despite the dark days of my life. But I think love was more. There was more love than darkness. I will say that because I knew I was loved by my parents and I was loved by my brother, even though sometimes I say that I hated him after he whooped me. Because now I learned that whooping was out of love, not out of hate. So, I mean, if we're going to take something, it's just be proud of where you come from. Wow. And if there's a bad past on that, build on it for better, because when you fall, you lose if you don't get up.
Absolutely.
But if you get up, the fall is already past. Then because you keep on moving, you leave that behind. So
never out of the fight. I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that. We have Jimmy John's sandwiches sitting over there. And it's not that you're not captivating, but my stomach is rumbling.
Is that what I heard?
These new mics are picking it all up.
These new mics are picking it up. Thomas, did you have any parting thoughts?
No, it's just like I said before. I wanted to get you on here. I told these guys I wanted to, because you got such a good story, and it's fun to hear where you've come from and see how far how successful you guys have been, and just thankful to have somebody in my life that's got that perspective, because when you live through it and you've been there, it's just common to you, and it's something that we challenge ourselves to do. But I certainly appreciate you and our relationship, and proud of you and your family for sure.
I just want to let you know that the feeling is mutual. You like I sold to one of my coworkers. You like the brother. Not that I never wanted. The brother.
That's what I heard. That's what I never wanted.
I still gotta know, if we did an arm wrestling, who would win?
Tyler would easily win. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. You said Thomas got it.
No, I want to know between you two who would win.
Man, I don't know. It just sometimes you don't know your strength, and you never underestimate your opponent. Also,
I think what he just said is he could whoop you. I think that's what I just heard.
And he probably could.
Yeah, that's what I just heard. Tyler, do you have any?
Have you seen these guys climbing a wall to install a fireplace?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I've seen him. We had something on a trailer once, and he was moving me again, and there was this giant piece of furniture, house, chicken coop, play thing that I had made, and it weighed 12 billion pounds. And Thomas was like, hey, we need to move that over just a little bit. And I'm like, okay, let me move that over. And I put everything I had into it. I couldn't get it to even go a millimeter. And Thomas gets up there, and that guy has a second gear. And when he gets into that second gear, watch out. That dude is strong.
Well, I'm then in that case, and I lose.
Then you lose. Okay. I'm betting on Anderson. I'm still betting on Anderson.
Well, thanks for the faith, my brother.
Thank you for sharing your story with us,
No
Anderson.
problem, man.
It's inspiring. I hope you'll continue to teach us about community and doing life together and how to really show love in that way.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, and with Father's Day coming up, dude, when you're talking about the love of family, the love of father, I'm not gonna lie, I had a little awesomeness just about leak out of my eye here. That's a beautiful thing, and your testimony is just wonderful and inspiring, and I greatly appreciate that. Before we get out of here, let's do a little housekeeping business. Did you guys? I texted you and no one responded.
That's pretty common.
Okay. I have guests lined up for our next podcast. The guys that started Primal Jerky. What do you guys think about that?
Nice.
I'm all for it.
I'm a little worried because I'm going to be eating jerky the whole time, and these new mics, they're going to pick it all up.
So, I talked to them today. I talked to Bo and Devin are the guys that started it, and it started, I don't know, 13 months ago, something like that, 14 months ago. They started basically in a kitchen, and they are now in approximately 209 stores in Kansas.
Wow.
Good for them.
They have they have a bunch of flavors. And one of the things that I really like about them is they don't shortcut anything. Everything is 100% USDA beef made in small batches so they can control the quality. They have a Facebook page. It's at Primal Jerky, or their website is www.feedonprimal.com. And if you're listening to us on whatever venue you're listening, we have a social media presence as well. We have a Facebook page, The Humble Pursuit Podcast, a YouTube page. I don't know what it's called, but if you found it, you're seeing us. It's on YouTube.
You got it.
And a Twitter page at Humble Pursuit. So yeah, and we're working on. I'm learning how to tweet. I tweeted the last one out.
I saw you tweet once.
I did tweet.
This is progress.
And I'm learning. I'm thinking about a TikTok page so I can do some of those fun videos that everybody else does.
I am looking forward to that.
Would you follow me? Would you follow me if
I
I
don't know
did
if I
it?
will follow you. I gotta test. I gotta test the water first.
Nice. All right, in closing, remember, never settle, never give up, live life with urgency to the fullest and in abundance. Face your legacy every day. The only day guaranteed, gentlemen, is yesterday. For Thomas, Tyler, Anderson, and myself, God bless. We're out.